the other question. You know, there are things on which I think you're spot on, and things on which I would say yes. Firstly, let me tell you about the migration. No, I don't think that the way it's happening, there may be a situation, an ideal situation, pie in the sky situation, but the migrations that are actually are dehumanizing, destabilizing, and it's not like my brother or yours to the United States. It's the migration of people who nations. India is already on track to so is that. Now, there were different kinds of migrations, which I would support years ago. A farmer from the state of Maharashtra, which I was talking about this morning, he or she was at it had a large number of textile industries, right? They would go into the textile industry, and the farmer would slowly become working class, and over a generation or two would become lower middle class. They would be absorbed in the factories that created the most secular and cosmopolitan culture in India, the Mumbai working class. People from Bihar, from Kerala, from Tamil Nadu, from Maharashtra, from workers. In the world, please don't talk to me about derivatives. I have who says, see the nation officers. And he's a big management guru, Peter Drucker, who says that the instruments that are now let loose in the as with the village. At harvest time, everybody would take their leave and go back. The maid who cleans my house, she cleans 10, 12 flats, apartments in our building. She's a farmer. 40 years, had she come 25 years ago, she would have gone into the mills and got work, decent work. Today, she's a domestic slave, working in 10, 20 houses a day. Okay? That's what her fate is, because there is no employment. The idea of taking people out of, you're absolutely spot on when you say younger people are not interested in agriculture. All the data show us this, you're right. Why are they not interested? Partly, they are also not interested in agriculture because we've made agriculture unviable and unlivable. If I made your non-profit world unviable and unlivable, you also want it. And by the way, we now have a government in India which is trying to do that. Okay, it will make the non-profits unviable and unlivable. So that is a question of the choice, right? Just as you and I have the enclosure movements, the privatization of the commons, villagers went to the cities, became the industrial proletariat. and then you had urbanization and much better wages. Guys, that's a con job. That's not the way it happened, please. And therefore they say, this is India's Planning Commission, now defunct, itself unemployed, says, says that the years 2000 to 2010 were the years of jobless growth. We displaced millions of people from agriculture without creating a single.
Mr. Palaguni,
I'll take a minute.
sorry.
Yeah. I'll take a single. I'll take a minute. Will you know that that you will be absorbed in some of the jobs? Those jobs don't exist. The governments are admitting it. The big please notice it's not what happened. The comparison is always made with England. Please understand that half the annual growth of UK's population for 50 years migrated to the so-called New World. It went to the United Australia, it went to Africa. Do we have colonies? Do you and I, our countries have colonies to export our poor to? No, we don't. So it wasn't that all of them went into factories. Many of them, millions of them went into colonies, which led to a labor shortage in the UK and let's. Here, we are leading to greater and greater surplus bodies of labor and lower wages. Thank you.
Thank you. Fair Trade Advocacy Organization, please start to come on with us. And from the Fair Trade Town Movement, we have Bruce Crowder. Please, Bruce, come on. So, let's first. Okay, since don't have much time, go.
Go ahead. Thank you very much, and happy to be here. I've not been able to say hi. Workshops, IFAT, by then, and Flow. Now it is actually EFTA and the Network European Workshops are not involved anymore, and so therefore today it is actually a joint facility on political contribution to the FTAO, given that WFTO Global was not able to meet sufficiently the needs. It was done voluntarily. Thank you very much. To those, it has allowed us to continue our work in 2004. For the words by Mr. Paraguli sign up. I thought it may be useful to what we're talking about, because the huge size and dimension of the changes we are facing not be also do political advocacy with politicians, you can also do public campaigning. And I think that the second part of the presentation will deal with the Fair Trade Dance campaign, which can only encourage you to save. It will be certainly very exciting. And levels of what you can do. Then it's about to achieve what. You can do markets, you can do political fair trade movement, you can try consumers to buy things very good. You can encourage public authorities with their public procurement to buy fair trade products. You can city to trade justice and address the social issues and social justice issues that have been mentioned before. Or you can also try to change the rules of the game that actually regulate what business are allowed to do and how they are not supposed to behave. So, well, and the beauty about it is that actually you need the activity from the objective, and actually political advocacy can actually be useful for a few of those changes that you want to achieve. Political advocacy can be used. You can have political advocacy, like it's on in Nepal, for example. They are very good in engaging with the government and asking for specific provisions for fair trade producers, like it's done in France, like it's done in Germany. We had the forum for fair trade in Germany speaking before. It's a very best practice of how WFTO members do political advocacy. Same as public campaign. You can also mobilize, change the rules of the game. And I think all of that is advocacy. And when you read the mission of WFTO, all of that, WFTO and fair trade is about that. It's not only about selling products, it's also about changing the rules of the game via public campaigning, via political advocacy, awareness-raising campaigns. So I think that it is very relevant, therefore, to the achievement of the mission of fair trade and this very important. So I thought that two practical examples and recent, so of 2015. So I'm very proud to say that together with GLAC, and I'm happy to have Marco Goscioni from GLAC amongst us, and we've carried out a first phase of research on phase of the investigation, but it already gives very useful ideas This document is available in English and in Spanish. So if you want to receive a copy, of course, let us know. And I also encourage you to join a workshop that will take place on this during the conference if you want to know more and to discuss next steps about how you could encourage your government to also promote an enabling policy environment in support of fair trade and to support more impact and more savings. That's one example. The other example of the work we've done this year has been looking at with this bottleneck, with this hourglass, or the egg timer. I'm sure you one day there are a lot of producers, a lot of consumers, but then there are some serious bottlenecks. And what is the problem with bottlenecks? Well, the problem with those organizations that have a quasi-monopoly in a certain stage of the supply chain the partners. It's a very interesting campaign to work with your local farmers and small producer association. Because after all, it's not a north-south divide. Local producers in the US, local producers in Australia, in Europe are actually facing the same issues as, or similar issues. They face a similar position with regards to the supply chain when they say in the last month, we launched our report, and it has been picked up by a lot of media outlets. We had the support of the UN Special Rapporteur on the Right to Food, who came to our event. We've created some infographics, and WFTO Europe some very nice. How many of you have you had access to this video? It's just a statistic thing. Yeah? So we're saying, yeah. So it's a pity. I think we have an issue that, of course, we are making available some information to you and somehow it doesn't reach you. So I think that please have a look at our website and our plans. We want to now focus specifically more on and there is a lot of price wars, etc. So we want to, it's really a juicy, if I can use this metaphor. And next year we're thinking about the topic. I think that cotton and textiles could be a very interesting topic. And because, you know, there is more and more suggest you join the first workshop, which will take place on Monday. And if you want to talk about how governments can support policy environment, that I also encourage you to join. And of course, here is our website. That make trade. Thank you very much.
Just to introduce, Bruce Crowder here is the founder of the Fair Trade Towns movement, director of the FIT,
it became more inclusive. So the Garson campaign in the beginning, it was about promoting the fair trade market. They tried to create fair trade as an alternative into being the norm. So it wasn't about the label. But as the movement developed in other countries, it took on a more inclusive feel to it. So in the USA, for example, they started to work with other fair trade organisations. And then the movement internationally became known, it came from fair trade councils in the UK, it's inclusivity, because it's a big tent approach, which is now being used in Australia, New Zealand, USA, Spain, France, Japan, Czech Republic, Poland, and Switzerland, to name just a few. And a lot of the other countries which started off in that way are now actually becoming more inclusive in bringing in more and more labels. And now we're seeing fair trade councils spreading to the global south. This is not something we're proactively trying to do. We're not trying to go out there to make fair trade towns or spread them to the south. This is what we're being approached with. People are wanting to be inclusive. In 2 weeks' time, I'm going to the Lebanon to help support fair trade towns in there. We never set out to provide fair trade towns in there. And this is very important. You know, we're not making this movement. This movement is being made by people wanting to see change in this world. And we see this as the vehicle to do it by. So this is where we are. These are all the first fair trade towns in the world, in 25 countries. The last country to come on board was Estonia last year in 2014. And the next slide we have, this is the state of play at the moment, 1,632 fair trade towns in 25 countries. That's quite hard to believe, but when I say to you that this is only the one to declare, on top of that, we probably have another 5 times that amount of steering committees working to become fair trade towns. This doesn't include places in Lebanon where they have a system already going, and we hope to update that soon. It doesn't include Movement Zero. We look at we're starting a campaign to become a fair trade city. It goes on, and then also doesn't include all the fair trade universities, schools, faith groups, churches, mosques, temples, and anything else that we have across the globe. So this is just a small tip of the iceberg of how big this movement is. The movement cannot be underestimated. And as the movement is spreading, it is becoming much more diverse. It is taking on not just about fair trade market anymore, not even just about the labels, not even just about fair trade, but we have a movement that is about trade justice. It's about putting an end to poverty. Make no mistake about it, call me an idealistic fool if you wish. That's why I started the movement, and that's what I want to see it doing, is putting an end to poverty. And I certainly won't stop from there until we've achieved that. Maybe not in my lifetime. But the greatest strength of fair trade towns is it's a people's movement. It's about you. It's not about the person sitting next to you. It's not about your neighbour back home. It's about you. Every single one of you in this room, all the people outside of Milan, all the people who sit across the globe. It can involve every one of you, and therefore it should involve everyone. You can all do something. Whether it's being involved with the fair trade towns in your room, and there you can start one on. So I'm going to hand over to Thaddeus.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. You may ask yourself, to whom belongs this movement? Bruce really answered this question, because it does not belong to FLO, does not belong to WFTO, any certification scheme, any international stakeholder. It belongs to the grassroots campaigners, grassroots people. Just to ensure the credibility, national campaigns have been facilitated by a number of different organizations, local organizations, working on country level. Each national campaign is represented by the coordinator, whose role is to help to develop the campaign. It's not ruling the campaign. And on the end, we have this International Fair Trade Council Committee. Their role is also to facilitate the development of the network of the Fair Trade campaign, to help the organizers, campaigners to develop the campaign in their countries. How it looks in brief, there are key facts. Bruce mentioned that on the say something more when the next slide will come. But another breaking point for the movement was 2008, 2009, and 2011, when the initiatives in Brazil, Costa Rica, and Ghana were established and they reached their goals. They bring the new overview of the campaign, bring a new approach to the campaign, which is global south. What about the guidelines? These guidelines are necessary for such a movement. It consists definition of fair trade product principles of the Charter of the Principles. There are also examples of the goals in these guidelines, recommendations to use the inclusive big data approach. So to recognize only one level of the products that go in, but to for advocacy job, it's a genuine tool to establish communication. Developed still coming international network of factory towns that support this network and the local initiatives. Of course, the important role of the steering committee is to protect the concept of factory towns and to help to develop it on the basis of the guidelines. So I think that you have now a full picture of the factory town movement, and we can ask what next.
Yeah, so where next? This is a quote from a good friend of mine, a banana producer called Simeon Green, many years ago. He said, well, we have 300 factory towns in the UK, we'll have the largest campaign movement this country has ever seen. I went away and thought about that, particularly in the UK, the women's liberation movements and the abolition of the slave trade, amazing campaigns that you've seen in that. But he was right. 300 whole communities working towards one issue of trade justice, which is, like I said, the big picture. We now have more than double that in the UK. We have 5 times that in the world. We have the potential, make no mistake, we helping guide maintaining the source of without using independence. That's a challenge that we think about for a long time. How do we enable fair trade to be more inclusive and effective in fighting for fair trade and trade justice? These 2 last points are the points I really want to look at the moment. And we need to ensure, like I said, that Fair Trade Council is a better coordinated movement, it's better resourced, without taking away ownership of metrics. That's quite important. How do we actually resource it without people who are giving that funding thinking that they are actually owning that movement? We have to keep that movement alive. It has to be a people's movement. Unite national campaigns across the globe now. We need to unite and form the United Global Movement that can promote fair trade and trade justice. We need a movement that is facilitated by, not owned by, but the main global players, sort of the WFTO, Fair Trade International, working with the Fair Trade Advocacy Office and searching scheme strategy in support of trade justice, working together. Our vision is to have a united global community of activist groups in both North and South, which is committed to fair trade and trade justice and sharing a common aspiration for a fair place. We've jointly agreed to international advocacy of these objectives, enabled to network internationally through the International Fair Trade Steering Committee and support financially belongs to a wide range of fair trade stakeholders. Enabled through networking internationally to develop their own plans of action according to local and regional circumstances. And then finally, that is grown in nature to support sustainably resourced international asset, that's myself, as new initiatives spring up in both the North and the South, and of course, international action venues. That's what our vision is at the moment, and we need to be looking at how we can get there. So let's look at what we have. These are the international fair trade stakeholders. We have the stakeholders, main players in the global North, main players in the global South, and of course working together with the I've spoken to both fair trade advocacy office maybe in Europe, I think that's fair to say, but it would be good to see an advocacy office that is doing international advocacy work. And we can actually jointly together use that fair trade council movement to promote that international advocacy work so we can really get to those world leaders and really make it change because people are wanting it to happen. When I look at these reports, that's how change always happens. And people get to a place that they want to come from the top. In my view, you wait all day for that. So next slide. And this is the International Fair Trade Council movement that we have. So we have 1,632 fair trade steering committees in towns where they're actually already existing. towns in the south, fair trade towns in the south, fair trade towns in the north. And then we certainly hope and expect these producers will be involved through producing network organisations in forming the regional committees that we have in the Global South. Now, at the moment, the International Fair Trade Council Steering Committee, we're presently involved with preparing stakeholder where we want to put out what we really touched on here today, to and during and after the International Fair Trade Council Conference, which is in Bristol this year in July. We certainly want you to be inputting into that, because we want to be creating here an international movement that really can bring about change in this world. And we need your input in order to do that. So please, rush through this a little bit to try and make sure this kind of questions are input now. I'm here for the next couple of days, Tadish is here for longer. Please come up and talk to us about it, about the situation. We've got our workshop tomorrow, starting at the same time as surgeons, which is the surgeons, but we've got chocolate, or we've got that. So please, we do want to encourage you to be involved with this. It is about you, make no mistake, it's about you.
Thank you, everyone. Now we are ready for questions.
Beautiful crowd. So we are going to open for 3 questions now. So if anyone wants to know more about it, Ben has a question? Yep, come on, Ben. And Carol has a question, and over there Bob has a question, and Safi has a question. Oh, lots of questions. So we stop on those 5 people, okay? Because we need to proceed. So, and Ben is the volunteer, and Ben is helping us the entire day here with the presentation. So please, let's applause Ben. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you. So I come from the US and I actively work with Fair Trade Campaigns USA, especially with our Fair Trade policy. But of course, we work with our Fair Trade Council movement as well. And for somebody who started at the ground level with the Fair Trade Towns campaign and the concept of Fair Trade Towns, I have to wonder from not nearly as far as Europe or the UK has come. I have to ask, what can we do to grow? Because our biggest concern is growing, and since we are so much smaller than the towns movement in Europe, that's something that we really want to know.
So all questions together first. Yeah,
We make the questions first and just take notes, and we follow. I will call everyone that I saw. Safa is on this, and Carol, please, you were the first one I saw. And Bob, prepare yourself, you're the next one.
I'm talking now as a member of the Trade City Steering Committee. In the UK, it's the Fair Trade Foundation that keeps renewing our compatibility with the requirements to be a fair trade city. Is it that in every? And as the fair trade town idea has got broader, is it likely that there will be a different way of monitoring? Sorry.
Question.
like it to change? Thank you.
Bob, please. Then Satya.
There are 600 fair trade towns in the UK.
There are 600 fair trade towns in the UK because of the translation.
604.
Trade policies of the UK government.
And concept behind them. Anyone else? Okay, so I have a question. I just would like to know, we are now as a WFTO launching our label as a fair trade organization. So how do you see this interacting with the fair trade town movement? If you see that there is space for this, and how do you see this?
It all seems to be addressed to me. Great, okay. Maybe the first one, which I get asked a lot, is British towns are so small in the US, how are you ever going to get like this in the UK? As I said, I have the great privilege of going all around the world and talking to young people who constantly say to me, particularly we've got people from Korea here, when I went to Korea and Japan, people say, oh, you don't understand, fair trade isn't known here, like it is in the UK. Well, that's why I tell you the story about Garstown. Believe me, you know, Garstown's council, one of the most backward councils you'll ever see. If it can happen in Garstown, it can happen anywhere in the world. The change that we've seen in the UK has come about mainly because of the massive promotion of the fair trade market in the UK has been as a consequence of fair trade council. That's what fair trade council has the ability to go. I didn't know this in the beginning. We've seen it happen as Frank got gone through. So it will grow. And as to the question, what do you have to do? Just keep on doing what you're doing now. And just believe that it will grow. Believe me, we've never been proactive. We've never gone out there trying to make anybody a fair town. People have always come to us. When I first went to Ghana, I really should because my friend's in Ghana. I remember being really frustrated, as I get so often frustrated when I hear terrible things like we heard this morning. But the fact that in Ghana you couldn't even find that. Of course, I knew you couldn't before I went. It's frustrating to see the cocoa farms in Ghana can't even buy chocolate. You can't even buy chocolate half the time that my bread for chocolate. There's like different ways of money. Yeah.
So, in the meantime, I thought that the question by Bob, in the meantime, I can answer. I think that this is linked to what Bruce has said before. So the question is, wow, exponential growth of fair trade towns, has this translated into changes into the UK trade policy? That's my understanding of this. Well, as Bruce has said, because you have said it, I feel that I can't say it without offending you, the campaign has remained focused on selling fair trade products. The UK and the Fair Trade Foundation, to be honest, has done great efforts and great reports and shown the injustices and unfairness of trade in specific commodities like bananas or sugar. Now, what happens is that in the current globalized world, we cannot pretend that governments alone, one government, can change the rules of the game. It is no longer possible. So, but our campaigning is still in the old style, like in the 19th century. So we cannot, UK alone, no matter how good campaign there to change trade policy, if it's only the UK campaign, it will not work, because they require more campaigns happening on the same specific topic at the same time and in a very organized way, in coordinating public campaigning, we follow up in political advocacy work. So therefore, it is my opinion that it is the responsibility of WFTO and Fair&Ethical International to agree on clear yearly priorities. I'm also repeating what you have said, so that the movement, we are not, allow me if I say, wasting each other's time, but each campaigning on different topics, but rather coordinating the messages, some basic resources, like a policy brief, specific demands, and encourage as many members as possible in the north, in the south, encourage as many fair trade town local committees, 1,600, to take them up, so that then